Good morning, everybody. I am so glad to see your faces today. Thank you, Glenn, for the introduction and your introductory comments. So I'm happy to be here. Communities First is passionate about advocating for community growth and economic opportunity. And we're going to dive into a really important conversation today. And it's critical for us to all recognize that workforce development is more than just a topic. It is the foundation for our region's economic vitality and our long-term prosperity. In today's rapidly changing economy, ensuring that we have a skilled, adaptable workforce is key to addressing both the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. We're excited to hear from our panel of experts and to learn how we can work together to build a stronger workforce for Flint, Genesee County, and beyond. So as I introduce the panelists, I'm going to ask if you all would come up and have a seat just to save a few moments of time. So first we have Jason Blazen, who is Career Services Manager at GST Michigan Works Flint Service Center. Come on up. And Jason oversees several key programs, including WIOA, PATH, and Offender Success, helping individuals to gain career success and self-sufficiency. We also have with us Kellogg Dipzinski, who is a proven leader with 40 years of experience in the electrical trade, who doesn't look like he's a day over 40. In the electrical trade. He's the business agent organizer at the IBEW, Local 948, and leads over 500 electricians, demonstrating a strong commitment to workforce development. We have with us Robert Matthews, who is currently the Vice President for Student, Academic, and Workforce Success. Is that the correct title for you?
It is now.
It is now. There was a recent promotion, so I wanted to make sure that we had that reflected in our introduction at Mott Community College. He serves as the Chief Student, Academic, and Workforce Officer of the college and is responsible for student, academic, and workforce-related policies and programs. And finally, we have with us Tyler Rossmaessler, who is the Executive Director of the Flint and Genesee Economic Alliance, and in this role, he leads economic development efforts in Genesee County. He facilitates job creation and private investment with a focus on strategic partnerships and economic growth. So, could you please give our speakers a round of applause?
Sit next to you.
All righty. Well, we always get interesting comments about the chairs, so I've heard those already this morning. Somebody said, I won't tell you who it was, but somebody said, oh, we have the talk show set up today. So yes, nobody is allowed to fall off the back of the stage. All righty, and it will be great. So this question is for everyone. What do you believe is the most significant challenge our region is facing in preparing a workforce with the skills needed to compete in today's economy?
Is that me?
Whoever would like to go first.
I'll go first. Dealing with apprenticeships, the age that has been applying has been a lot younger in the last few years. I see that soft skills are a huge deal with just interview skills, being able to build a resume. A lot of high schools are dealing with building resumes and interview skills. I don't think it really comes through, but that's the basics of it. And then after that, it's you really need to be able to show up every day on time and be ready to work. It's a big deal.
And I think you make a really good point about, we always think about, do they have the technical skills in order to succeed, but mentioning those soft skills. So if anyone else is also seeing that as a challenge, please be sure to share that in your comments as well. Robert, what is it that you're seeing as some of those significant challenges?
Thank you and good morning. I think I'll focus on the supply side of this equation, right? Because we really focus on the development of talent from the people side, although a large part of our work also has to work directly with employers. So what we are really seeing is often that people are not always aware of where true growth opportunities are and what skills and or skill sets are required to really get them into family sustaining wages. And so we spend a lot of time trying to educate everyone that we come in contact with on where those opportunities exist, and then really helping them to learn how to map the skill sets and the course to getting there. And so I'm going to throw a shameless plug because we're always looking for tools to help, as they say, work smarter, not harder. And so one of the things that we've launched this year that's available to our college community and to the community at large is what's called a Jobs Connector portal. And that portal does a lot of work for you, so you don't have to look for all of the jobs that are currently available. It has multiple ways to search available on our website, and so you can go in and, at any given time, there are 40, 50,000 openings available by way of that portal. Easy to search, easy to put in skill set, education level, other things like that to find opportunities that might match and or to help you identify where those growth opportunities exist.
So what I heard you say is that there are potentially 40 to 50,000 jobs that are available that are listed in this portal. So if you all know anyone who does not have a job, a good paying job, we certainly want to make sure that that website and that portal is available. How can they find that information?
So it's available on the MCC website, www.mcc.edu. If you just enter Jobs Connector, it'll lead you to that portal.
All right. And we'll make sure that our team gets that posted on our Facebook page as well. So what are you seeing as some of the challenges?
So one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing is closing out the skills gap for folks in our region. And it's challenging because, you just take a look at the numbers. 44% of households in Genesee County are in the ALICE population. That means these are individuals that are one paycheck away from a disaster. They're struggling. Sometimes they're single-parent families. They're picking up DoorDash jobs just to try to make it. So when we try to plug them into opportunities to skill upgrade so that way they can fill some of these opportunities in tech employment, advanced manufacturing, it's challenging because they're living day by day, and it's difficult for them to see how they can plug in and even find the time to do that.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Sometimes it's not a lack of interest or a lack of will. It's just the time and other constraints that a family might have that might prevent them from engaging in those sorts of opportunities. Now, Tyler, what are you seeing?
Essence, thanks for having me. I hope I can add some value to this conversation. But when I think about economic prosperity in the context of challenges to talent, I think of economic prosperity as like a three-legged stool that needs, we need businesses, we need growing businesses, we need a great place to raise our families and to live, but we also have to have talent. And they're all three are interconnected like a three-legged stool. So when I think about challenges facing talent, I think about the challenges it faces to our prosperity here in our community. And the number one challenge I see in our community is net out migration. So that means that as students are maybe graduating from Kettering or U of M Flint or coming out of Mott Community College, they're seeking opportunities elsewhere. And that is not a good thing for our economic prosperity. So I believe strongly that we have amazing partners in this community that create some of the best talent, and other regions are reaping those rewards. And so I think one thing we've got to focus on here is retaining that talent.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you on that. I can think of the number of folks that I graduated with a million years ago who have gone to, other states seeking job opportunities, some of which may have been available nearby, but there's this mindset and this thought that it's better somewhere else. So whatever we can do to change that and to show them continually what our community has to offer, I think would be to everyone's benefit. So Tyler, I'll stay with you for a moment.
Sure.
So as you think about engaging with site selectors and businesses from across the country and across the world, what is it that they're looking for in the local workforce? And you can feel free to add on those other legs of the stools. What are they looking for in a community? And are there specific things that are standing out to them related to, Genesee County and being located here? Or are there things that they're saying, you're not quite ready for us?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Just for everyone's benefit, there is a consultant class out there. There are companies like Deloitte or BDO or Plant Moran that help companies make location decisions. And it might be a company based in Europe or a company based on the West Coast or a company based in Asia that wants to come to North America, and these consultants help those companies make those location decisions. So it tends to be pretty competitive for communities like ours. We're competing against the world. And an important part of their calculus is, does this community, does this driving radius of this site, 50 miles they tend to use, have the talent that we need to do what we need to do from our business? What companies are impressed about with our community is, I say this all the time, Flint's kind of an hour from everywhere. So you can get to Lansing, you can get to Saginaw, you can get to Detroit, you can get to Ann Arbor. And so we have a really amazing labor shed that we can pull on here in this community. And not to mention this amazing pipeline. We have an amazing continuum from Mott Community College to U of M Flint to Kettering for highly skilled talent. So from what I hear from these site consultants, I hear, I was looking at your labor shed, and I said, thank you. And look at all this amazing talent you have to pull from, but also so impressed by the colleges and universities that exist in our community. So we love to showcase that, and so that's what we're hearing.
All right, thank you for that. And you may have noticed that there are some note cards on your table and some pens. You wouldn't be at this conversation unless you found it to be important. So we want to invite you to write down any questions that you have for our panelists. And we'll have a time a little bit later where volunteers will come around and collect them. Feel free to hold them up when you're ready as well. So Jason, you started to talk about it a little bit, but what are some of the common barriers that individuals face when they're trying to gain some of the necessary skills that they need to enter the workforce at GST Michigan Works?
We commonly see transportation barriers. That's a big one. Access to daycare, so that way they can attend programs that we're hosting. Something that we see frequently too is individuals want to engage with an apprenticeship program. They have to achieve a certain level in reading and math. And so oftentimes folks get discouraged when they can't achieve those scores and they give up. I think it was back in 2018, to answer that, GST opened up the Talent Development Center. And that's where we can, have laser beam focus on, for example, raising a particular reading or math score so that way they can gain access to like an apprenticeship program. We have a tutor that we can assign to them. And that way we can move at a rapid pace to get them plugged into opportunities like that.
So it sounds like you've done a good amount in terms of those kind of wraparound supports, so you could work with pretty much anybody to get them where they need to be in order to obtain, employment. So tell us about, you talked about it a little bit, but tell us about a couple of the most exciting programs that you're currently offering.
Well, first I want to say that when somebody engages with GST, one of the first things we do is we do an assessment, and we're going to wrap any of the programs that we have underneath our umbrella, and any of the programs that our partners have, like Mott Workforce Development, we're going to wrap those programs around them so that way they can be successful with their employment and training goals. We're extremely proud of our Jobs for Michigan Graduates program. That's where we can work with individuals from age 16 to 24 to help to get them across the high school graduation finish line or to achieve a GED. And then what we want to see is them take advantage of programs, occupational training programs that can skill upgrade and make them more competitive in the job market. As we're approaching summer, we're really proud of our Young Professionals program, and that's a summer youth program where we're able to focus on building soft skills with youth. Tied into that is a 90-day paid work experience where we bring in local employers, so that way we can get some hands-on experience for the youth. I want to brag just a little bit. Last year's cohort, we had 5 youth that were hired by Fessler & Bowman, a local construction firm, And that was exciting. And, Fessler and Bowman is actually an employer that's nominated for our Impact Award. We need more employers like Fessler and Bowman to step up and help wrap around the community. And they just did an outstanding job mentoring and supporting these youth and helping us make sure that they are successful. So we're really excited about that. We really want to get the word out to the community so we can start getting youth signed up for that. We're really excited about the progress that we've had with our EV program. We have funds to support programs underneath that umbrella. That's going to be an advanced manufacturing tech programs. Mott's our biggest partner on that project. We've been able to support folks for the Line Workers Academy, which connects right into Consumers Energy. We've seen some tech. We've supported some folks with cybersecurity type jobs. So it's just an excellent opportunity. We have funds to do that, and we're eager to help some folks move forward with their employment and training goals, using these as tools to move them forward.
So lots of resources, lots of tools to help individuals develop themselves and to prepare them for careers in a variety of different industries. So I heard you say the need to getting the word out. And so it's one thing to say, go to our website and, there's stuff on the website. If there are specific programs that you have, and I'll say for any of you, that you want Communities First and any of our partners to be promoting or supporting recruitment for, we're happy to do so. Because as we think about healthy, vibrant communities, which is that's part of our mission, it requires us to have a healthy, robust workforce so that people can have the lives that they desire to live, and also so that the services and the resources that we all need to utilize are available right here in our community. So extending that opportunity to you for sure.
Thank you.
So Robert, we hear a lot about different programs that you all offer over at Mott. Can you just give us maybe one student success story that resonates with you?
So it's hard to give you just one, but before I do that, I'm going to apologize to you because I hate to mess up the aesthetic, but this chair, I'm going to be the one that falls off the stage, I feel. So I'm going to stand if it's okay.
We'll allow it.
So
Thank you for saying that. I feel the same way.
It was going to be the aesthetic or the other thing, right? So yeah, lots of programs and lots of success stories, but Jason really just queued me up for one of them. We have, for the last couple of years, been working very closely with Consumers Energy on a line worker pre-apprenticeship program. And so we worked for a number of years to get that program here in the Flint community. They were doing it in Lansing and Alpena, and we said, no, we need it in Flint. And finally, we were able to do that. I see Raphael over there. So we were able to make that happen, and it has been tremendous in terms of the opportunity in short order that it's been able to provide for many people in our community, and particularly young people. And so there's a young man who I will call Zach for the purposes of this story. But Zach came to us, had not had a really successful time in high school, really trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life, was able to get into the program. We often have, 120 applications for 16 slots for this program. He was successful, was able to get into the program, and the way we have it set up, we do many of our workforce programs in what we call an accelerated or fast track format. So they spend 11 weeks with us in a boot camp style format where they are up at 7:30 in the morning doing exercise routines and then going to class until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so 11 weeks of that program, was able to get accepted into the climb school immediately following that. 11 weeks in the climb school, graduated from the climb school, and 3 weeks following that was hired with Consumers Energy as a line worker apprentice, making $45 an hour. And so,
Wow. That is amazing.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Are you getting wheels now?
it's gonna be like they're gonna have to wheel me out of here if I fall off, right? So he's getting prepared. But
I love a good team. We'll see if we can make it work.
but so that's one. And since I would also share that, one of the things that we embrace as a philosophy through the college, and particularly through the workforce division at Mott, is our goal is to screen people in and not screen people out. So many people have been screened out of opportunities in life, and it is our goal to help screen them in. And so we really do a lot of due diligence to make sure that we can secure, assets that help people to get to, their ultimate career goal.
Yeah. And you're telling the absolute truth. That I've had a couple of students and a couple of young people that were experiencing some challenges, getting into programs or getting answers or getting responses, or they just didn't know how to navigate things, and had the opportunity to connect with you and your team to make sure that they were able to get what they needed. So thank you for that willingness to screen folks in instead of screening them out. And I would say, both you and Jason have talked about some different programs and opportunities that exist at your respective institutions, and also, your ability to work together. So I just want you all to know that, the work is happening. We need to get the word out. We need more people to get involved, and they're willing to help them overcome the challenges and barriers that they may be experiencing. So Kellogg, apprenticeship programs are a bit of a mystery. Anybody else in the room have heard of apprenticeships, aware of them, but don't really know how they work? Okay, so I'm not alone. There's a bit of a mystery around it. So Kelly, can you tell us a little bit about the IBEW's apprenticeship program? How do people find out about it? How do they get in? What does it look like over time to go through and complete that program?
Yeah, great to talk about it. So I have been traveling around to high schools and other events to do this same thing. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers has had an apprenticeship in the Flint area for over 60 years. The Local 948 has been in town for over 100 years. So this is nothing new. It's actually an old thing that we still have always done. And all the trades do this. There's 15 trades, and they all have their own form of apprenticeship. Ours is highly competitive. It'd be nice not to be more competitive, but we can only hire as many people as we can put to work. So we 10 years ago, we were doing like 8 to 12 students. Now we have 30 to 35. 10 years ago, it was like 50 students total. Now we have up to 200, almost 200. So ever increasing. But very competitive to get into. We generally take in over 200 applicants, and we interview. There's an aptitude test that they have to pass to get to the interview. So, without doing that and some of the other things, we get down to like 150 interviews to get to them 30 spots. And then beyond that, it's a 5-year program, starting with incremental wages built into it. They start with family health care. They have optical, dental, pensions. We have a very good pension, and most trades still have pensions also. So we have pensions and an annuity that is all contractor paid. And so it definitely drawn people in, and we have our share of applicants. So once they go through that, like I said, it's 5 years with the raises. They have in-person student or in-person classes. We have our training center over Bristol and Linden Road, and with some labs involved there. And they take off one day every other week to go to school or labs, and then they work the rest of the time on the job at construction sites locally around the area. Our local 958 in Flint is Shiawassee, Genesee, and Lapeer counties, and we have just under 550 members that are all currently working right now.
Oh, that's awesome. So as you think about that, what are some of those kind of initial challenges that individuals might face as they're seeking out apprenticeship opportunities with you?
Our apprentices range in age wildly, really. We used to be a lot much older local. In the last 10 years, we've brought that age down a lot. We're bringing in or new apprentices, we have I'd say 4 to 6 or 8 18-year-olds starting right out. And then in the same class, we could have a 45-year-old there too that also wants to start a new career. So within that, there becomes, the what hurts them or what slows down their learning capability is vastly different. I mean, with someone that is older and has a family, they might be making more before they get to us and have to take a pay cut, and they have to go through all that to drop $5, sometimes $10 an hour to start over. So that causes a range of problems with that person. And then we're taking in the female portion of our classes have gone up a lot, and we have single mothers, and that's a whole nother thing. You have to get to the job, you have to have a running car, you have to have a babysitter. It's vastly different for everybody, but those are the basics, and we see them a lot. Yeah.
Well, thank you for clearing up a little bit for us about apprenticeship in the process, and I wasn't aware that it was 5 years. So it's quite a bit of a commitment, but well worth it. It sounds like when you look at the long-term benefits.
Yeah, it is. It is long. There is a possibility of shortening it up a touch, but it takes 4 years. 8,000 hours to become a licensed Michigan licensed journeyman. So it does take that long to become a journeyman. So we just continue class time throughout that. There's always something new to teach. The world is ever evolving, so we're always trying to structure our class time with what's next and what's upcoming.
Great. So if you happen to have any questions, please raise your cards right now, and we're going to have our volunteers come around and pick those up. If you don't have any questions, that means I'm doing a pretty good job, so we'll continue on. But yes, please raise your cards and they'll come around and pick them up. This question is for everyone, so feel free to answer as you see fit. Can you share some of the state or federal policies that you believe would be most effective in helping your organization to overcome obstacles in the workforce? So feel free to highlight a couple of things that you think could be done at a policy level.
So I'll start this one because it's a sensitive area for us right now. So many of you all will know that the state of Michigan has been fairly progressive over the last few years in terms of providing funding for individuals to return to post-secondary education. And so there are a number of programs, but however, sometimes those programs become seasonal. Some of you may remember years ago we had a program called No Worker Left Behind. And as the administration changed, that program went away. So at state level, one of the things we really need is we need to codify into statute some of these programs so that they do not change as administrations change. So that would be the first thing that I would say at state level. At federal level, one of the challenges that we often face is you heard me talk about the pre-apprenticeship program that we have with consumers. Unfortunately, there are very few ways for individuals to pay for the cost of programs like that. The short-term trainings that have high yield in the labor market, those programs are not eligible for federal financial aid. And sometimes they're not eligible for other traditional funding sources. And so we spend a lot of time identifying philanthropic funding or other types of funding to help individuals cover the cost of those programs. And so I'm very proud to say that the vast majority, and I would say probably less than 5% of the people who go through any of our workforce training programs pay anything out of pocket.
I'll go from there. There's one important thing that I forgot to mention is our students don't pay for their schooling in the apprenticeships. It's split between the contractors and the members. We all put in to get a more qualified workforce. Along this lines, that is something that is very touchy right now. We just started getting grants from the state. We never had them before. The last 2 years were our first time we've ever taken any money from anywhere else except for our membership and our contractors. So grants from the state were coming in to help with books, and just work clothes, boots, and winter wear is a big thing. And actually, last year we got gas cards for all of our students that were just starting out. So them grants were crucial. The CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act were very crucial to keep the tradesmen working. I've been in the trade for 40 years, and these are the best of times for trades right now. We have a lot of work and more coming. The CHIPS Act is crucial. We have multiple jobs in Michigan that are using that right now. We're hoping to get more of that, and those two are very crucial to the construction aspect for sure.
If I could, just to pull on that thread, if you think about these guys talking about supply of talent, the policies I'm most interested in or most familiar with are about the demand for talent. And what Kellogg is saying here, consistent policies at the federal level that encourage job creation here in the United States, I think that's important. I think for the state of Michigan, we have to have policies that allow us to compete against southern states that want to take our jobs and to keep and attract more here. But then the last piece is that innovation and entrepreneurship. I am always going to be interested in competing against Texas to make sure that we beat them and bring the jobs here. But I also think it's easier that when the company grows up here to keep them here. And so I would love to see policies that help grow innovation and entrepreneurship here in the state of Michigan. And one of the things I think about is just crushing college debt is really hard. When you're 22 years old, that might be the best time to start a business. And, you don't have a family yet necessarily or something. But if you're paying all this debt, there's going to be this pressure to go get a job to start servicing that debt. And so I would love to see things that allow for young people to start businesses.
And I'm going to ask Joel if you could make your way this way with the questions. He's over there sorting them out and making sure that we're all set. Joel is our planning and advocacy manager. Give Joel a round of applause, please. And part of his responsibility is helping us to coordinate this, and he's been in touch with all of our panelists and making sure that things run smoothly. But another thing that he does is we have a newsletter that's a sub-newsletter of our main newsletter where we put out advocacy updates. And so many of the things that you're talking about are of interest to our organization. So I'm sure that he took copious notes, or he'll review the recording so that we can share with all of you also, information where you could advocate or you could talk with your legislator about things that are impacting our communities, because that work is not left to just the politicians. It's not left just to organizations. It's also the responsibility of each of us as citizens to make it known that certain things are important to us. And I think we could all agree. Oh, thank you. Go ahead, Mona. Clap. And it gives us the opportunity to have a voice and to let the elected officials know what's important to us, what's important to our communities, what's impacting our families and our friends. So just want to offer that as well, and we'll get you all signed up for that newsletter as well. All right, so we've got some questions. We'll start with a couple of the ones that were shared online. Please discuss the extent to which you're exploring green jobs-related workforce development opportunities for our region. What are some future opportunities that you see?
Yeah, I can definitely. We're in this already. We've been started with the Lapeer solar farm for us back in 16. We did 600 acres of solar out there. Ready the workforce. And teach them what they need to know and get out there and get it done. It's like this across all trades. When wind hit, Michigan did not have turbines anywhere. Our workforce stepped up, stood them up, built them, and wired them. That's what we do as tradesmen. And the next thing is hydrogen's a big thing coming up. Still too costly. The nuclear is coming back, modular nuclears, small modular nuclear reactors. I wouldn't be surprised seeing, actually, West Side's supposed to be seeing those, so we're ramping up with education on that. And the batteries. So we have all this solar, and the next thing will be having a large field full of, not a large field, but a good area full of batteries to store energy for tomorrow.
Appreciate you anticipating those upcoming needs and training folks already to be prepared for those opportunities.
So we've integrated for several years aspects of green technologies in many programs. I would mention, primarily in construction and in some of our advanced manufacturing programs. More recently, though, we've done a lot of work in developing things both for EV technicians and EV battery techs. So those are the spaces that we're exploring, or really have recently developed things in, past exploration now.
All right, so the next question, unless you got a burning response. Okay, I didn't see the mics go up quite so fast.
I just want to kind of tie into what Mr. Matthews was saying. Going back to the EV state grant, we definitely try to promote and target the EV technician opportunities, training that helps for the battery technicians. And so, we're very grateful for that partnership with Mott Workforce Development. A lot of times what we're able to do with Mott is make a lot of these trainings more accessible with splitting tuition cost and also with the wraparound support services that we can partner on.
I got to answer now, Athens. For green technologies here in our community, we've seen an announcement recently, Nanograph, over on Buick City, that's going to be creating about 150 jobs. They make an ingredient that goes into batteries that makes them last longer, charge faster, and are lighter. They primarily sell their product to the U.S. military, who has communication devices, and they want to lighten the batteries in those. But it's also applicable to electric vehicles. We're really excited about that. The other thing is, and this might surprise you, but Genesee County is one of the sunniest counties in Michigan. I know. We're the third darkest state, but we're one of the best and the worst. And so it turns out that
context is always important.
yeah, Texas. But we do get a lot of interest from solar fields, and I'd like to hear what Kellogg's saying, that the workforce is ready, and it is a battle, I think, at the local level. Local zoning versus needs, and that's where we see it. That some communities don't want to see solar or wind in their community. Genesee County's got the best sun in Michigan, but not every community wants to see it. So that's where we're feeling this.
Yeah. Great point. And I always say I played tennis in high school, and I played #1 singles, which sounds very impressive. I was the best player on the worst team in the county. Context is important. So this is an interesting question. How are you using AI for either workforce skill development, or how are you preparing individuals to use AI in their potential jobs? Or are you?
Getting back to AI and green energy, I think, is important, because when we do a Google search, you don't think about how much it costs to do that Google search, because it's basically free and costs zero energy. But doing an AI query, or generating an image, or using ChatGPT to write your answers to questions that NSYS is going to ask you, does actually have a tangible cost that's measurable in both what it costs the companies and the electricity. So there are really important things that we need to think about as a community and as a state, like these data centers. How are we going to power them? We would love to have them locate here because they pay taxes, and they add to our prosperity. They help us fix the roads, but it does require a lot of energy. And the other thing is, it requires a lot of processing power, and those are semiconductors and memory and chip and logic things. So all those things are connected. We're not doing much with AI preparation for student, but I will say this is a real thing that even affects our community.
So I don't remember seeing that topic in the list. However, I will share with you that this is
You didn't get to AI that?
Yes, this is a very challenging area for I will say for all educational institutions, because folks are trying to balance the need for the creation of critical thinking skills versus the ability to use technology to help solve issues and problems. And so what I feel like is like we're at the moment where I don't think any of us were around when the calculator was invented, right? But there was a time when calculators were not allowed to be used in classrooms, right? And so we got past that. So I feel like it's the same thing with AI. So we're going to get past the notion that, we have to limit the use of artificial intelligence in the educational process. Ultimately, I believe that those who understand how to use these tools appropriately will prove themselves to be more valuable to employers, right? And so I just give you one quick example. There are instances where, our staff who serve as executive assistants or our administrative staff, people would have measured them by how many words they can type per minute. I say there's no need to ever do that again, because a person who can use technology appropriately and who can deliver products, they don't need to type 80 words a minute. And so we need to think about that as we are, we're thinking about how we equip the workforce and how we move forward with education and training.
Okay, well, there are more questions coming in. So talks today have been about various employment services and skill sets. This person is curious about, are there specific programs for older individuals who may have already, had a career, and then, just opportunities that might exist for, kind of your non-traditional student?
I'll start unless someone else wants to. So yeah, we definitely have programs that serve the span in terms of age group. I don't think we screen in, we don't screen out. So I would say that any of the programs that have been discussed here today and more would be available to all ages. I'll note that in workforce programs, we tend to see older students in those programs than we do in our traditional programs, because those programs lead directly to employment opportunities, and that's typically the reason that adults are returning to school, because they have a more immediate need to connect to employment.
So as I said earlier, our age span is very large right now, and also said that now we're getting much younger. When times were harder, even before, but in the 2000s, it got tough in construction for a while. We had smaller classes, and most of the people in those classes were older at the time. It is very difficult to get into construction as a 45, 50-year-old. But it is possible and can be done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was disappointed to learn that an older worker is, older than 45. That was shocking.
It's true.
But yeah, we most definitely, we most definitely have programs that we can wrap around our older worker population, and they have a lot of value that and employers are looking for, work experience to bring into the workplace. So, a lot of times when we get into the higher end of the spectrum with the older worker, we're bringing in partners like AARP to help us with that and tie them into offerings that they have, so that way we can move them forward.
And I appreciate you reminding me that one day soon I'll be considered an older worker. So we have we have three questions that are kind of similar, related to challenges that individuals might be facing, specifically around childcare and transportation. And if you could respond to how you're addressing that. And also there's a note about requesting that some of the job fairs and resource fairs be located in Flint, Westwood Heights, and the Beecher school districts.
I'll talk about the childcare and transportation. I think the leading companies, the most progressive companies, are thinking about this because they recognize the opportunity to bring more talent in. Talent is the number one challenge for many companies. In fact, we're sitting here at Factory One. I was once with General Motors executives, and they said the number one issue facing our company is not imports, it's not climate change, it's talent. And so I think companies who are thinking critically are thinking about addressing challenges, addressing childcare issues. Not every company is there yet, but I do think that the leading edge and the companies that are able to afford that are trying to think about that critically.
And I think it's the exact same approach that has to be taken when it comes to education and training. And so Kellogg touched on it earlier. There's been lots of investment in recent years around what we would call barrier removal services. And so almost all of our programs, there is an element in them that allows us to provide funding to support transportation, childcare. We haven't completely cracked the housing piece yet, but that's a critical nature, because we are noticing that the number of students that we see who are housing insecure has absolutely increased over the years. And so to the extent that we can bring resources to the table to help them, we know that it's often not the thing inside the classroom that causes people to stop out or for their dream to be deferred. It's the things that happen outside the classroom. And so, we've done a lot to try to help to address those. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't share that, a few years ago, we opened the Lenora Crowdy Family Life Center on our campus. And that center was designed specifically to address the needs that students have outside the classroom, and so that they do not have to leave campus to get support for those things.
And I have a deep appreciation for what you just said, that it's not necessarily the matter of someone's will to finish or their desire to finish or them being able to see a vision for their life that includes that training opportunity. It's life that interferes with those things. And so thank you for sharing that and highlighting that point, and also for the work that you all are doing to address some of those concerns. Because traditionally, it's kind of out of the realm. You're providing this training service, but we know that people are not isolated and segmented in such a way that it's only about what's happening in the classroom. So thank you.
I just want to touch on, in recent years, we've received Breeze funding, and that funding has very minimal eligibility requirements. And, earlier I talked about the ALICE population, folks that are, out there hustling, just trying to survive and barely making it. With programs like Breeze funding, we're able to, if somebody's car blew up and they're working a job and they might go down in flames, we can immediately address that barrier so they can keep going. If somebody's working with a company and they've had a skill upgrade and they don't have the money to buy the tools to move forward and take that promotion, we can use Breeze funding to support that. Anybody that works in the front lines with workforce development, Breeze is just an amazing tool. So we need strong policies that strengthen funding like that, because the community that we're in here, that's what we need to be able to meet, our community members where they're at.
Yeah, and sometimes it's those small things, $250, $500, $1,000 things that can totally derail somebody's career because of a basic need not being met or some emergency that arises. Right. So thank you for sharing that.
I do want to say that that's how we help our apprentices. Our training director for our apprentices work through Michigan Works, and they help the people in need with a lot of that, exactly what he's talking about. It does work.
Just an example, we have a couple of gentlemen in our apprenticeship readiness program, and they had car repair issues, and another gentleman was having some different transportation issues, and we were very quickly able to meet those needs through our Breeze funding.
Very good. And Robert, I heard you touch on this piece about housing. So this question is, what is the relationship of current housing quality and quality places for people to live? How is that affecting workforce development? And I'm going to throw that one to you, Tyler.
Oh, man. This gets back to the three-legged stool of business talent in place. I mean, housing is an important part of our economic prosperity. I think about it. I've talked about the challenge we face here is retaining talent or stemming the tide of net out migration. And affordable housing is a product that can really help us with that. So, it's incredibly interconnected. It's challenging. I think you're getting into local zoning issues. You're getting into trade policy. How much does the wood cost? You're getting into transportation issues. It is an important thing. I think that the way to provide more affordable housing is to build more housing. Supply and demand. And so we need more supply. So I don't have it all fleshed out on the answer, but I know it's interconnected, and I think more supply is the answer.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think that we would agree in our work that supply is critically important. And as we think about policy, funding comes into play, and, kind of the market that we're in requires, additional subsidies to make it happen,
Right.
Just because we're not at a place where, housing being constructed can support the debt and the financing that's required to build it. Yeah, lots of challenges, certainly interwoven in the workforce development.
I think, just one quick story on that. A 1,000 square foot house built brand new might be about $300 a square foot, so it'd be $300,000. The average house in Flint is maybe for sale for about $100,000 or maybe a little bit less. And that gets back to our income levels. We got to have the income levels that support a $300,000 house. We're a long way away from that.
Can I share just a comment?
We'll allow it.
Okay, thank you so much. So you made me think of you asked about success stories earlier, and there's a very vivid example that comes to mind for me, that we have a young lady who is in one of our programs who had not completed high school and who was experiencing challenges with housing. And we got her some assistance, stabilized her housing situation, and afterwards she completed her GED in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And so it said to me immediately that the challenges she was facing had nothing to do with her ability or capability or intellect at all. Because, that's, taking those 4 exams and passing all of them in 3 weeks is not easy to do. And so, you bring up housing, and it just made me think of this young lady. And so it's a critical barrier.
Great example. Thank you for that. So this question is for Kellogg, and you do not have to answer it. But the question is, where does Kellogg get his hair done? All right, so as we prepare to close out today.
Where?
Thanks, guys.
It is pretty fabulous. So as we prepare to close out our time together, I'm going to ask each of you to take 30 to 60 seconds maximum, okay? 30 to 60 seconds maximum, to just give us a charge. I'm really big on this. I don't want us to leave out of here and say, well, this was good information. I know more than I knew when I came in, which is a great goal for us to have. But really, is there anything that we can do to support your work and to support workforce in our county?
Spread the good news and share with someone something that you heard today. And also www.mcc.edu, 810-232-2555.
Shameless plug.
That's good.
I would just like to piggyback on that and say the same exact thing. So many people in our community may not know exactly what's available for them. We want to get our hands on them. GSTMIworks.org. 810-233-5974, and everything starts with being assigned. Let us connect a career coach to you, and let's hear about what direction we can help you move your career in.
All right,
get it
Kellogg,
moving forward.
it's time for your commercial. Go for it.
I'm going to go a different direction.
Get your haircut at.
And the shameless plug, I don't think it's there. So with us, we could employ more people. So we take all these students, right? Like I said, we're taking 4 or 5 from GSI or whatever community school it might be. And then we put in bids to get these jobs. And then we miss it by $5,000 to $10,000 sometimes, and we don't get it when we can put their student on their job the next day. So if we could come together as a community and hire locally and get that student on their job, then they can use him or her to their students on what is possible down the road. It slows us down from hiring more and working more. It really does. So it's kind of a different avenue, but it's something that definitely helps hiring local.
But I am going to ask for the commercial. How do we find you?
So the website for the training center is fsejatc.com. We are right here in Flint, Bristol and Linden Roads, Exchange Drive. They can stop in there anytime, put in an application, or come to the hall on Hill Road, right across from Home Depot.
All right. Tyler?
I wish I had a pithy charge, but I think it's this, that building a sense of place, building a community is the ultimate collaboration project that we're all a part of here. And we have to tell our friends and our neighbors and our kids and our nephews, nieces, that this is a great place to be and there's real opportunity here and we can make more.
All righty. So we are concluding for today. Can we give a round of applause to our panelists?